Alright, there were a lot of similarities on both sides in this game, especially in transition, because a lot of times, they were both looking to catch the other's defense not being set, so that was usually leading to a run out, a cross match, a player getting deep positioning under the rim, or just a quick bucket flowing into their offense, and those were consistently their best source of points. I think the pace was causing both sides issues, so whenever a player pushed the rock, good things were coming out of that. And even in the half court, there were also some similarities, because the coverages were mixed throughout the entire night. Early on, I was seeing both sides have their bigs drop against any screening actions and veering if they needed to. Then as the game went on, both sides were having their bigs show, or even outright switch more, and whenever one was getting exploited too much, they just changed it up to one of the others, so that constant flip-flop was forcing the primary ball handlers to adjust quickly. For the Raps, it was mainly Ingram off his pin downs in the first half, then in his SNRs in the second half, and for the Lakers, it was mainly Austin, Braun, or even Gabe whenever one of them were handling the rock, so it was on all of those players to make the right reads depending on the coverage. But out of them all, Austin was obviously killing the most, because as he continues to show, he's a master manipulator. I think the one thing that confused me was the Raps going under his screens a good amount, because every time they did, he didn't hesitate to pull, especially in the third, and then the one time they tried to compensate by over-pursuing, he got him for a whistle, so he was really burning him no matter what. He just got into a rhythm in that quarter, but so did Barnes, because early on, the Lakers decided to assign Ayton onto him instead of keeping Braun in that matchup, and that was the second thing that confused me. That just did more harm than anything else, because he wasn't even involved much in the first half, then he got going off those easy ones, so when it became a game of buckets in the fourth, the Raps just started finding him more, and the rock was either in his hands or Ingram's. The Lakers just decided to red everything 1 through 5 that quarter to avoid confusion, so the Raps were trying to find Barnes a mismatch in the post to exploit the backside advantage, because the Lakers were loading up baseline, or just outright tilting on those. And then whenever the rock was in Ingram's hands, he was just continuing to run SNRs or play ones. That just turned the game into a battle of the stars, because on the other end, the Raps were also basically reading everything 1 through 5 to avoid confusion. So the Lakers were putting the rock in Austin or Braun's hands, and even going to their two-man game at times. But I don't think either offense was able to really generate quality shots in the half court, because both sides were blowing up a lot of what each other were trying to exploit. So as I said at the beginning, the best scoring opportunities had to come in transition, and them trying to attack quick before the defense could fully get set. I think both coaches recognized that in the last 3 minutes, so they were trusting their players to make the right decision coming down the court. And even though Ingram gave the Raps a crucial go-ahead in the final minute, it was Braun and Austin that stole the show, because prior to the go-ahead, Braun caught the Raps trying to retreat for a rare lay. Then after the go-ahead, Austin basically did the same thing when the Raps were way too high. To be fair, they probably expected a timeout in that situation when he was hugging sideline, so that opened up a lane for his tough finish. And then after Ayton's crucial stop against Ingram, the Lakers made the right decision of not calling a timeout again. Fortunately for the Raps, at least they were able to finally match up, and Darko was able to communicate on the sideline, so he could call when to stay home, then when to sell on Austin to force the rock out of his hands. But unfortunately for them, leaving Braun wide open is one of the most dangerous things to do, because he's always going to make the right read, so as soon as quickly rotated off Rui, he didn't hesitate to swing the rock, and even though his 10-point streak comes to an end, at least Rui rewarded him by finding Tracy from the corner to call game. Just watch the tape.